the Brains Trust, introduced by the question master, answering any question.
Boys back after duck shooting. Got Eyes and Bryce back on board this week. No guest this week. It's been a big week for the fellas, but going on. Eyes just quickly, obviously sad to lose, I guess, one of the good blokes of Southland community rugby. I guess he was a bit of a polarising figure once he did a few under his belt, but Ross McKercher sadly passed away. You celebrated, I guess, his life in that today.
I guess on behalf of sort of Brains Trust and the wider Southland Club rugby community, it's probably it was a good way to celebrate Ross's life. Obviously, Ben's a good friend of all of us boys, and he actually conducted the ceremony today himself and did an outstanding job. So obviously our thoughts are with the McKercher family and the Midlands family, as he's a life member out there. So I imagine those boys will have a few beers in the coming days and celebrate his life. So
yeah, definitely. No, definitely one to remember. Brycey, on another honour, we'll change tack in London. I believe you're with spent a bit of time with a Marist man and former Southland Boys High School product before he heads back to the Long White Cloud.
Yeah, mate. Monty, they're back heading home, I think, the next month or two.
Monty Mitchell.
Sooner than that. Yeah, Mont.
Has actually been on the Brains Trust.
Yeah, he's one of the first birds, wasn't he?
One of the OGs. Episode 3.
He kindly hosted me a couple of weeks ago up there, and we figured out he'd never been to the Big Smoke, so he's been over here 8 years and hasn't been down to London. So they're about 4.5 hour train, I think. So he made the leap, down to the big city, and we showed him around and had a really good 5 days actually. The weather was good because we're still only allowed to have beers and that outside, so managed to get to the pub for a couple and
still under restrictions.
What's the date? We're allowed inside in 3 days.
Just quickly for all the listeners, because I'm sure a few in Southland probably haven't had the vaccine. Have you had the vaccine?
No, but as I was 30 like 2 weeks ago, now my age group's now. So you just got to wait for a text from your GP, whip round the corner, and they chuck it in.
Stick it in your arm.
Yeah.
Off you go.
Yeah, so I think we're up to like 35, 40 million over here now. So they're fucking flying through it. They're doing all right.
Yeah, good stuff. Right, we'll get straight into the club footy action. Few big results on the weekend. We'll get straight into it. Pirates Old Boys, they took on Woodlands out at Woodlands. This was, I guess, the feature match in terms of the Premier. But in terms of the scoreline, Pirates Old Boys far too strong, 27 points to 0. I guess one of the talking points, Marty McKenzie, Swanee pivotal to the Woodies' hopes, went off after 10 minutes with a pretty bad head knock. He's going to miss the next 2 or 3 weeks by all accounts. And then from there, so I guess POB took full control, Greg Dyer and the boys, and won very comfortably in the end, 27 points to 0. Eyes, will start with you. Bit of a surprise there?
Yeah, it was coming off the field on Saturday and hearing that result. It was a bit of a surprise, but I guess when you put it in context, losing Marty in the first 10 minutes is going to make it a pretty uphill battle. I heard, because unfortunately I couldn't watch the game because my portal wasn't working, but I heard that the Woodlands forward pack actually stuck it to Bob in the first 15, 20 minutes, and it was, I guess that score at halftime being 5-0 reflected that. But probably losing that class of Marty, because realistically he's probably the best player in the comp almost, so, and the most dominant player. So losing a guy like that for any team would be pretty difficult. I think Liam Howley went to 10 and he's looking to get back to 9 this week from talking to him today. So, and I think Swanee might be out for a couple of weeks, so we'll see how Woodlands track, but sort of just shows how good Pop are running also.
Yeah, mate. Brycey, any thoughts? You obviously had a quick skim through the game, but I guess from your end, is that a bit of a surprise? I guess the scoreline, 27 points to 0.
Yeah, definitely. And it's going to test Woodlands, isn't it? They haven't been in this position for well over 12 months now, and that'll You know, they'll either go one of two ways now. They'll either, show us what they're made of and regroup, or, results will keep going against them. So they're going to have to step up without Marty, aren't they? I did read the article. There's a write-up. I don't know if it was the ODT or because there's no Southland Times anymore, but might have been Saves. Interviewed the Pod coach. And he said, we're staying level. No one cares who wins the first round when it's all said and done. So it's good to hear that kind of sentiment coming from them. They're not getting ahead of themselves. And I actually thought it was quite interesting having Dufon talking about how he felt like those 2 Storm weeks really hurt them, which they don't have to contend with this year. So they might be the real deal. The real deal. I mean, we're talking about Marty Lee being left out, but the third try that they scored was they bitched their Woodies forwards. They pushed them. They looked like scoring the whole way off that rolling maul. So
yeah,
Marty's not getting there to stop that.
No, that's a fair point.
Yeah,
and myself, I'm not going to throw you guys under the bus, but I sort of thought the Pobs tight 5 might have been their weakest point, but they're fucking going real good.
Yeah, obviously Javan Aringa and Ricky Rangi jumped back in that front row, so that probably did make a bit of an impact, I guess, in with a couple of absences there. Also of note, I guess, Tua Talamaitonga Tuapati, Southland Stags hooker, came off the bench. So when you got Josh Harwood starting, promising young player with bring Tua on, it's a bit of a luxury at hooker of sorts with POB. So big one for the Pod boys. They'll be full of confidence and they can go into a bye this week, pretty much locking up that first spot. With Midlands and Blues to play, you would be pretty safe to say they're going to bag 10 points as we head into the second round. Right, we'll go to Waverley Park. It was Star taking on Blues, and Blues too good on this one, 33 points to 21. Blues probably just too big up front. Probably a bit of a surprise early on, especially the scrum. The Blues scrum really dominated. Not often you see that Star front row, Tatey, Nico, and Big Sinesco on the front foot, but they were well and truly on the back foot. Thoughts on that result?
Yeah, it was a real surprise, but I guess probably last week may not have given Blues enough credit. I think adding a Reeson and Jay, I can't remember his last name, bull running.
Ray J.
He was fucking outstanding from what I saw. So
yeah,
you got runners like Reese,
Kalipi,
Ray J, and Kalipi. And they're getting front foot ball. It's going to be a long day at the office. So when you factor that all in, it's probably not that surprising. But hats off to Blues. That's a big one.
Yeah, massive one. And you can see the confidence, I guess, left just watching some of those tries. The energy, I guess, those guys running and high-fiving the guys who scored the try, they look like they got a pretty big feel. And as we'll touch on later in our preview, they have a lot to play for this week. Bryce, any quick thoughts on that result? A bit of a surprise from your end, or pretty predictable?
I think the margin was surprising. I think. Yeah, Eyes, you covered it. The only guy I don't think he mentioned I thought was really, really good was Ryan Taylor. He got put Kalipi over early with a nice ball, and then Trice's not long after, and then I think he led to one of the tries that were on the Rugby Southland highlights with that quick tap, which is pretty ballsy. I think going for a quick tap from inside your own half for a young fella anyway. That looks like he's sort of growing into that Premier 10 that. He showed all that promise at Boys High, so it's good to see.
Yeah, a lot of variety in his kicking game too, which I thought was pretty impressive for a young guy. Like you said, his growth, I think that showed a lot of growth. Like he wasn't just kicking long. He wasn't, there was a mixture of wee grubbers in behind, those wee sort of chip kicks. Like they actually went to space, not to hand. Along with, he did find a lot of grass in the Star backfield. I guess from a Star point of view, fellas, pretty disappointing. And then you compound that with a couple of injury concerns. I know Gregory Pleasance-Tate, we hip issue there, and Geordie Stewart didn't look too good with a concussion, so doesn't get any easier for the Star boys. Not really ideal for them at present.
No, they might be starting Seeper this week though, so I think that they'll get an injection from Dom. Actually, I don't know if he went to training, so he may not be starting. But
He'll be
he'll be
pissed
in the
right
back.
about now, won't he?
I would say he'll be fucking lit up like a Christmas tree. But yeah,
Now we'll watch the space. Right. So good one for Blues. That puts them in a pretty handy position. We'll go to the last game of Premier. Barbarians had the bye, so they had the week off. 3-week break for them. They'll get back into it this week. But down at Miller Street, Marist took on Midlands, and Marist boys are too good in the end, 49-26. But a lot of good play from the Midlands lads, particular Joe Robbins, as you might have seen on Instagram. First and wins performance of the week. Pretty outstanding display from him, particularly in the second half. But Marist boys too good. I guess the likes of Keanu and Tavita in the back line, just too much of a handful eyes for the Midlands lads, along with your goal kicking.
I was waiting for that to get a mention, but yeah, I think you're right. And what was really the difference in that game was the weight of possession. Like I feel like Marist got. We would have had close to 80% in the first half. Like it was a lot of ball, and when you have to do like a lot of repeat efforts on D, it does start to tell. But to Midland's credit, they didn't go away at all, and they were still playing footy right to the 80th minute, and they end up with a point out of it. Courtesy of a bit of Joe Robbins' magic, but yeah, no, they impressed me in that second half in particular.
Yeah, no, they definitely didn't go away. Bryce, you flicked to some of those highlights. Any quick thoughts?
I did, mate. I did. No, I just want to reinforce, I guess Keanu again. Like he's on fire. He'll be the best winger in the comp at the moment.
I'm not sure of his defenders beaten count, but I'd say he'd be clocking them up.
Even and if he doesn't beat them clean, he's offloading. I see Tavita did a wee chip and chase. I think the cameraman was asleep at the wheel, and if he wasn't, that probably would have been.
Yeah, he'll be listening to this. Say just just a friendly reminder. Turn that camera.
Yeah, you've done Tavita dirty there. He would have been in the tries of the week for sure. That was
Yeah,
a nice little offload from New, and then a wee chip over the top, regather. But it's good to see Tavita back. That's another point of attack for you guys. I thought you played good, Scotty. Looked like you got a bit yard of pace back, mate. Straight through one of those holes.
Well, I needed something because I couldn't kick a fucking goal to save myself. So I saved my blushes there. You guys on the Brains Trust that might have seen that wee Instagram video. I always took the reins after Jay Renton had a wee breather, and fair to say you had the hot iron out eyes.
Yeah, to be honest, there was the only two good things I did in the game because it's fucking awful for the 20 minutes I was on. But I was more than happy to see that get circulated on the gram on Sunday.
Yeah, nothing better on a Sunday other than seeing that.
No, I was out at the Maimai when it went up actually, and I was wondering what the fuck was going on. But yeah, I saw it. I was like, yeah, happy days.
Yeah,
Bit of traffic, mate. A few supporters out there.
Yeah,
I reckon I count for half the views.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. Right, so Marist, that keeps Marist in that, I guess, top 2 to 4 brackets. So a massive game coming up against Blues this weekend, which will, I guess, sort out those 2nd, 3rd, and 4th spots. Right, we'll go to Division 1, Pool A. There was some tight tussles there. We'll start with Collegiate down at Lindisfarne Street, took on Waikaka. Fellas predicted a comfortable Waikaka win, but it was probably nothing like that, to be fair. Waikaka got the win 20 points to 7, but by all accounts, fellas, she was pretty tight for long periods there. Waikaka sort of grounding it out, but good job from Collegiate to keep it tight.
Absolutely. Like what I think most of us have Waikaka in the top 2 or 3 at the end of the season. So for Collegiate shows they're building pretty well. A lot of those guys coming from that league team that they're actually finding their footing, and they might end up dropping down, but they're giving a pretty good account of themselves.
Absolutely. Bryce, any quick thoughts on that game? Like Collegiate, obviously a lot of league guys, but they, you're only looking at their score lines and hearing a couple of things. They really must be improving every week.
It's good to see. What is the go with the league comp down there? Is it dying out?
Summer, isn't it?
Was pretty much moved to summer to avoid that clash and try and get a few rugby guys playing. So essentially, they got a 14 comp. They run from late January to early April. So I guess that there was an agreement, obviously, with the Cowboys and Collegiate. I believe around the use of the ground and facilities and that sort of thing. So they've sort of teamed up, which is good to see. Because I think that's the way to go going forward, and I think it needs to happen probably with more codes and more more clubs aligning like that. So, hats off to them. It's obviously working for them, so working for both parties. So, good to see. Good to see a collegiate, another Invercargill club, I guess, mixing it up. Right, we'll go to the second game. Riversdale took on Tiana, Northern Southland derby. Boys predicted Riversdale at home too strong, and that was the case. 33 points to 5. Keeps Riversdale right in that top bracket. Obviously, ex-Soap is where they'll want to be come a couple of weeks' time. So, looking pretty good, fellas. Tiana, I guess, tough day at the office for them, and they'll be, I guess, looking to make sure they don't get themselves into that last sort of position when it comes to the bottom team dropping to Division 2.
Yeah, well, they won't be in the ACK, will they? If they keep
Yeah,
carrying on.
No. Essentially, no. Not at this stage.
They'll be
not
Gerald.
like...
Oh, so you're talking not even making Gerald.
Yeah. So essentially, the
chance, aren't they?
We'll just have a quick look. We were going to go to the points table Division 1 shortly, but essentially in our pools, Pool A, Pool B, we've got Waikaka on 15, Riversdale on 15, Collegiate on 6, Mosburn 5, Tiana 4, Waikiwi 1. I guess in terms of the bottom of the other pool, we've got Pioneer and Albion on 5. So the bottom team does drop down to Division 2 for the next round. So at this stage, that would be Waikiwi. But Tiana and I guess are in that danger zone along with Albion and Pioneer and Mosburn. So I guess plenty of play for those teams over the next few years.
Sweet.
Right, we'll move on. We'll go to our game of the round. And by all accounts, it was an absolute humdinger down at the Waikiwi Rugby Football Club. 19 points to 18. Mosburn came down, got the chocolates. Albeit, though, and I guess confusing circumstances-wise. A bit of confusion around the score. Talk us through that.
I was talking to Tain Te Whara today, and he mentioned to me that at full time, Waikiwi and Mosman both thought that Waikiwi had won, and it wasn't until they got into the club rooms about 20 minutes later that the referee came up and said that Mosman actually won. So it absolutely bemuses me how no one from either side was actually keeping some sort of score. But I think what the final sequence of the game was, Mosman scored a try, then missed a goal to what everyone thought to win it. They missed the goal. There's a bit of char-hooing from the Kiwi boys, thinking they got the chockies, and then they found out later, which would be a pretty tough way to lose.
Tough.
When you've had your first win of the season snatched away. I also did get some mail that there was no boat race. So that
no boat race. Jeez.
No boat race. So that keeps Mosburn's title from, they haven't lost since 96 intact. I'm not too sure what the go is, but I think the Waikiwi boys are a bit disappointed not to have one, but do what you have to do to keep an unbeaten record, though, I suppose.
Yeah. Bryce, that's pretty interesting. You ever been in a position in a game where you weren't quite sure of the score? You thought you'd won and you'd lost, or you thought you'd lost and you won?
I'm sure I have, but one that springs to mind, it didn't, was that game against Pob a couple of years back.
Oh yeah, that was a cracker.
Pob were down by 2.
Yeah.
In reality, they were only down by 2, and then the ref told GD that they were down by 4.
4, yeah. So they didn't take a shot.
They turned down a shot. He would have thrown it over. He would have.
That was a Kurt Ray conspiracy, I think.
Yeah. They've gone for a line out of
Shane Harvey thought so.
Yeah,
and we've held them out, and they could have. They should have won. But cheers, Kurt. Good man.
Yeah, great stuff. I know. Tough pill for the Waikiwi boys to swallow, but hopefully they can get back on the horse this Saturday. Right, we'll go to Pool B. It was Albion took on Matoda out the Gore Showgrounds. Matoda too good. Probably a bit closer than we probably picked, fellas. 39 points to 26. So good to see Albion clocking up a few points and I guess competing. But Matoda too good. Keeps them in, I guess, with a bit of a sniff in their ex-Sopa, fellas.
Yeah, it was closer. It still falls into that 13 plus category, unfortunately. So we'll take the bonus points for picking the margin.
Well,
But
indeed.
it's good to see them going well.
To be fair, most of the Div 1 games, just looking at the score, they looked like most of them are pretty decent games of foot. Like that's a high scoring game at the showgrounds. It must have been dry as a bone, which fuck, a couple of weeks time won't be like that. But yeah, enough fair crack to the Matilda boys. They're another 5 points. Keep marching
100%.
forward.
Marching on. That leaves them right in. They're on 16 points, so tucked right in behind Edendale and Wyndham as we get into the last couple of weeks of round one. Right, we'll go down to Newman Park. Pioneer took on Wyndham. I understand the Wyndham boys nursing a couple of injuries. Got the job done though, Wyndham, 32-24. Probably not as comprehensive as we probably picked, but good to see the Pioneer boys, very young Pioneer team by all accounts, putting in a good showing at home against, I guess, a team that have been a bit of a juggernaut over the first 3 or 4 weeks. Eyes?
Yeah, that's probably quite an interesting result, only being 8 points. Obviously, if Wyndham are resting a few players, then that might account for some of it, but it's pretty good for Pioneer because they had a couple of disappointing results in the last previous weeks to go against as you said, the competition heavyweights and put up obviously a pretty good scrap. That's fair play to them. So onwards and upwards for Wyndham, though. It's another 5 points in the bag for them.
Absolutely. Right, we'll go to the last game. Edendale and Tokanui. Fair to say, and hearing a couple of accounts of this game, this may well have been, I guess, the game of the round in terms of, I guess, the contest. Edendale 34-19 up, I believe, with 20 minutes to go. Possibly thought they had the game in the bag, but Tokanui had other ideas. 34-33. Had a kick to win the game, I understand, and just shanked it at the end there. But 34-33, that's a hell of a scoreline down at the Nui guys. I guess in terms of Tokanui, probably a lot of disappointment they didn't win the game, but in terms of a measuring stick against, we talked about last week, a measuring stick against that ex-Sopa level team, that they showed that they can foot it with the big boys.
Yeah, definitely. But it's going to be one of those games, if they don't go through to the ex-Sopa, they'll probably look back on that one where they've walked away with 2 points as opposed to the potential 5 with that kick. So hopefully that doesn't come back and bite them, but to show that they're right up there with an ex-Sopa side like Edendale, who have been good for, last 10 years in that grade, they can look at themselves and think they're in pretty good shape going forward.
Yeah. Bryce, any thoughts on that one, mate?
No, that result shows that they are an ex-Sopa team. Did they end up winning Gerald last year?
Yeah,
they beat Pioneer in the final.
Yeah, so they're on the way up. Doof touched on it. They've got a big recruitment drive. Well, they're aiming high anyway, so that's if the players feel supported by the club and the management, actually they're not just turning up to go through the motions. They're engaged in winning. Then the results will come. So I hope they make it through.
No, it's good stuff. We'll just quickly go to the points table. Div 1 Pool B. Edendale out in front on 20, Wyndham 19, Matoda 16. So currently it would be Matoda that would get through in that 5th seed in the ex-Sopa. So currently in pole position, but Tokanui nipping at the heels on 11. Pioneer on 5 and Albion on 5. So plenty to play for in the Division 1, Pool A and B over the next couple of weeks. Right, we'll get straight into our preview, fellas. Big weekend of games coming up. Some massive contests. We'll start out of the Gore Showgrounds, our favourite ground of all. Eastern Northern Barbarians, a 3-week hiatus, two Saturdays off. They're back in action, looking to see if they can keep that momentum after a massive win over Blues 2 or 3 weeks ago, taking on Star. Pretty, I guess, Star side that'll be down on confidence and nursing a couple of key injuries. What are we thinking here, fellas? Barbar's pretty hot favourites, you would think. Auckland referee also understand for this one, so but something a bit different in terms of the officiating.
Does he live out there? Or what is it? If Rugby Southland just posted an Auckland referee out to Gore?
No. So what's happened is there's an referees exchange, I understand, and there's a bit of a trial for some of these guys who are on the fringe of, I guess, the NPC Heartland squad, and he had to be appointed to a game I understand
Fuck.
he was appointed to this game, so
He's drawing the short straw coming down here, isn't he? He's a fucking long way. It's a long way from Auckland.
oh yeah,
Jeez.
absolutely. So he's going to get a real taste of Southland.
Yeah.
Timothy Olith, I believe his name is. So good luck, Timothy.
Uh,
Fuck,
What do
that's
we think,
bizarre.
fellas?
Barbar's too good for me with Star's injuries and
Yeah,
haven't been travelling that well. And I think Barbar's really starting to hit some form. Probably that it wouldn't surprise me the first half's a wee bit quite close, just with Barbar's having 2 weeks off. But once you get back into that rhythm, I think they'll just run away with it at the end. 13 plus for me.
yeah. Brycey, that's pretty unanimous.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Barbar's unders, not quite 13 plus. I don't know. There's something about Star the whole time I've been down there. They're stubborn pricks. Like I don't think they'll be good enough this weekend, but I don't think they'll get blown out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go for a blowout, to be fair. I'm gonna go Barbar's 13 plus probably and more. But hey, happy to be proven wrong. But yeah, that Barbar's performance against Blues, I guess, like you said, first half maybe a little bit clunky, but I think they'll have plenty of confidence, and I don't think we can underestimate the confidence they would have taken from that, especially a lot of the younger guys. So
Definitely.
yeah, especially, nice day, Gore Showgrounds. Yeah, could be interesting. Right, we'll go to Centennial Park in Winton. This could be a very interesting game, fellas. Probably wasn't looking quite like that a few days ago, but Midlands taking on Woodlands in a pretty injury-ravaged Woodlands side. Believe a few scratchings out of that lineup. In particular, Marty McKenzie, new recruits, Matt Funga, Caleb Abrahama, Cole Williams, and I believe there may be another one or two as well. So, what do we think? I guess bit of a banana skin game. The Midlands boys, as we said, always plenty of play for. Ross McKercher, life member of that club. Plenty of fizz back at home, back on their home ground.
Yeah, they won for me. I'm all in on Midlands this weekend. I just think they've got enough in their fate. Why did I say Woodlands?
And we don't. Just
Midlands.
quickly, we don't have to go back too far to recall the Midlands win over Woodlands 2019 at Lime Hills. They got the job done in the Premier grade when it was 12 teams. So I guess they'll look at that for a bit of recent history. Bryce, do you agree with Eyes that a boil over might be on the cards at Winton?
Yeah, I mean, from experience too, I played in a game for Kaikra with the exact same pretty much circumstances, playing for the team that's had the emotional week, and those Midland boys will be coming off the fucking back fence, eh?
Yeah.
They'll be coming up, they'll be looking for blood, and yeah, fuck. I'd be a bit worried if I was Woodlands, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like,
I'd actually, if I wasn't playing this Saturday, I'd love to be out there, because I reckon the atmosphere would be up there with any club game that has been played down there.
It's a weird feeling. It's
Yeah.
kind of like you kind of realise for a while that there's way more to life than footy.
Yeah,
and you just play
absolutely.
with a whole new attitude. It's quite it's powerful.
Powerful.
There'll be some pretty, I'd say, because being McKercher on the sideline, they'll be pretty well lubricated as well. So I think they win. I just think they will.
Do we think how many sprays do we think Howley's gonna cop in the first 20 minutes?
As soon as he gets off the bus, mate, I think he'll get a couple. But yeah, they'll get a bit. But yeah, it's a very good test for, I guess, where Woodlands are at, as you mentioned earlier, Bryce.
Yeah, shit. Oh, that's tough. This is gonna be tough. I think I'm gonna go Woodlands just like hear me out. The only reason I'm going Woodlands, I just think there's a lot of young kids in that Midlands backline. I think, despite Marty not being there, I think if Kieran Lee, Liam Howley really step up, show that they're NPC caliber players and really drive the Woodlands team, I just think they might just have enough to get over the line.
Fair point.
But yeah, like you boys said, I think Midlands, like Jesus, it's gonna be a hell of a game. It's definitely gonna be an unders contest either way. So look forward to that one. If you're after a game to watch, I would suggest that would be the one to head out and watch. Winton, 3:00. Get out there. Right, we'll go down to Blues for the last one. Blues taking on Marist. we talk about, I guess, motivation, and Blues probably not lacking any. Huge milestones at the club on Saturday. Daniel Townsend, absolute, I guess, Southland rugby stalwart. 250th game, I guess, just from the Brains Trust. Congratulations, mate. That's outstanding. I would probably highly doubt he listens to us talking rubbish every week, but someone pass on. Yeah, that's a hell of an achievement. Hell of a contributor to Southland rugby, Blues rugby, and it's pretty unreal achievement, to be fair. So well done, down.
Sam Winslow's 100th.
Yeah, also Sam Winslow's 100th. So I guess you talk about motivation. And I was told tonight that Ben Soper is having his 75th. So you chuck that in the mix. It's
Fuck.
Yeah,
it's impressive, but you don't fucking celebrate 75th, for fuck's sake.
That's what I thought.
What the fuck are we coming to? Jesus.
Bryce, do you reckon you've played 250 games of rugby in your life?
About that, but I started when I was about 10, so...
Yeah, so I reckon
to do that in the senior level alone.
That's outrageous.
For for the Prems, yeah, that's
just
unreal.
Abrasive position too, like he's been in collisions. So I could see wingers doing it because we do fuck all, but making the amount of tackles and carries that you have to do as a Lucy, then fucking hell, it's huge.
Yeah, and the fact like how Towner's obviously had a couple of I guess serious injuries. Like over the past few years, so for him to still be running out like that's unreal. And from a Maris point of view, it's going to be it's
not just the physical toll, man. Like the mental toll too, to get yourself up for Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays. Is tough. Like fucking hell. We've got guys now in their early 20s that are strictly Thursday trainings only.
Correct. Fuck, he's not even that, mate. We're lucky to get into a Saturday. That's big occasion. So I guess from Maris' point of view, boys going to be up against the eyes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Couple of injury, maybe question marks as well. So Maris boys possibly going as underdogs.
Yeah. Also with Jay Renton making his return to. Yeah. I can't remember what street Blues are on, but
it's supposed to be there.
Yeah, I imagine there'll be a big game on Saturday. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out from the bench. But it'll be a good occasion for Jay, and I think he's got probably a point to prove why he left Blues, perhaps. So good a chance for him to do it on Saturday.
Watch the space. If you can't get to Winton, maybe get down to Blues. Brycey, what do you think, mate? Give us your prediction. Give it.
I mean, fucking hell. I think if you can look after their front row, or at least stop them dominating, then I think your backs are they're fast as well as big, and I reckon that's where Blues could probably get carved up. There's not many good back lines in the comp. A lot of them are quite forward orientated. And I think you guys will be, at the moment, with current injuries and stuff, you'll still be one of the top two back lines. And I think if you're tight five and all of the forwards really can give you some front foot ball, I think you'll be too good actually on a dry deck. The weather could change it, and if it gets into a shit fight, then it's going to be tough yakka, because that turns Kalepi into an extra Lucy, and then it's going to be playing sort of short footy. So
been a couple of years since we won there as well, Scotty.
Yep. 2018 was the last time I understand. So
it was 17. 17.
So 4 years between drinks. So yeah, it could be something to. Something for Maris fellas to get a bit of fizz about, but yeah, will definitely be a very good contest down at Blues. Right, we'll get into Division 1. We've actually got a Friday night fixture under lights at the Mozzie Domain. Mosburn taking on Waikaka. Jason McMartin in charge of this one. Friday night lights. If you fancy a wee Friday night road trip, head out to Mosburn taking on the Waikaka boys. This could be an interesting game, boys. Mozzie, maybe one that Mozzie might look at having a cricket.
Yeah, especially at home. Mozzie don't mind the Domain. They almost tipped up Riversdale there 2 weeks ago. So
Yeah.
I think I'm going to take Waikaka unders, but I actually wouldn't be surprised if Mosman did get the chockies here. Friday night games are always shit if you got to travel. Fuck how long you got to travel from Waikaka to Mosman. So yeah,
I'm going to go Waikaka unders on that one as well.
Yeah, same. For all those reasons.
Yeah, but it'll be tight. Right, we'll go to the next one. Collegiate, another home game for Collegiate. They seem to be stringing these home games together in round one, but Keith Brown in charge of this one. Taking on another country team. This time it's Riversdale making the long trek into Invercargill. Riversdale probably not notoriously, well-travelled team. This could be maybe a wee upset on the cards here, guys.
Shit, yeah.
I think I'm going to say. They just seem to be finding a bit of Nick, actually. I'm going to go Riversdale unders, just on the back of, obviously, they put a strong performance in against a team I think might be slightly better than Riversdale and Waikaka last week. So, I'll take Riversdale unders. Riversdale unders.
Yeah, it'd be a bit disrespectful to pick against Riversdale based on fuck all, really. They're travelling all right themselves. I think Riversdale will prove that they're an ex-Soper team and be too strong, win by 12.
Yeah, I'm going to go Riversdale in a tight one, but I think they'll get it done just maybe through their forward pack. Right, we'll go to the last game, Pool A, Tiana back at home, taking on Waikiwi. Probably a huge game for Waikiwi, fellas, if they're desperate or wanting to avoid that drop to Div 2. Probably got it in them here. I guess it depends how they walk off the bus or the vans. Do we sense them getting the W here?
Yeah. Kiki win.
Bit of heartbreak last week, so
yeah,
Aussie. So
they'll have someone counting the score. I think that'll help. That counting the score fiasco goes up there with who forgot the jerseys last year?
Tiana.
I think that's up there for me. It's not knowing the score, but I think Kiki get off the bus in Tiana and just really let loose and
really chuck it around.
Yeah, fuck it. I'll go 13 plus. I'm bored on this.
Yeah, I'm going to go Waikiwi too, actually. Bryce, thoughts?
No, I think Tiana win. I feel like Tiana, this is pure speculation, with literally no evidence to back it up. The Tiana lawyers would destroy me, but I feel like they're a better team at home because they'd have more players available for those home games. I feel like that's a situation that they might have.
Could you say that for a lot of teams in that grade?
Possibly.
Well, I guess those country teams, probably a good point, to be fair.
But I feel like if you're a guy that's half committed, or you've got your kids and stuff, and you look at the draw and you got to go to fucking Tokanui, you probably I've got the kids this weekend, I can't jump on, or I've got work or something like that. But if it's just down the road, you're more like, I'll be in, boys. So I reckon there'll be a stronger squad for those home games.
Yeah.
So. Again, pure speculation. They might be rolling out the same team each week, whether they're at home or away. So on that fact of just the home ground, I'm going Tiana.
Yeah, nice, mate. Nice. Right, we'll move on. Pool B, we'll finish it off. 3 to go. Wyndham. This is probably going to be a real cracker, this one. Wyndham hosting Matoto. I understand Wyndham do have a few injury concerns, so this may be a bit closer and tighter than we might have thought. Matoto will be looking for a bit of a ex-Soper scalp, so to speak.
Yeah. You have to think Wyndham at home are going to win. But taking into account those injury concerns and how well Matoto's been playing in their last, 2-3 games, I'll take Wyndham under, but not with any real confidence, I guess.
Yeah. Brycey, thoughts?
Yeah, I think sometimes you just got to be brutal, and this is a clear act team against probably a Gerald Dermody team. So I think Wyndham are too strong, 13 plus.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Wyndham unders. Just the fact that if they got a couple of guys out, Matoto might make a wee go of it. So watch the space. Right, we'll go to Newman Park, another home game for Pioneer. This is a repeat of the 2020 Gerald Dermody final, so Pioneer will be looking for a bit of revenge on the Tokanui lads. Tokanui coming off that heartbreaking loss to Edendale, so potentially this could be a game that they probably should win, but I guess they'll be wanting to make sure that they don't trip up on this one.
Yeah, it's a game they need to win, isn't it?
Yeah, they have to win.
Yeah, they do.
They want to stay in the ex-Super race.
And they'll know that they'll be having a look at the draw and the standings and things. So I think they'll be up for it. They'll know they need to win, and I think they'll be too strong.
Is there any? I don't personally believe really in this a lot, but do you believe in like your revenge factor from like finals from like last year? Obviously, Pioneer losing to them. Now they get them on their home track. Do you believe in that theory? Because I think that every year it's a different side, basically. Like it's pretty hard to go into those games with that. Do you think Pioneer are up in particular for this game because Tokanui beat them last year?
I think they might be. Just to the
100%.
fact that like there's quite a few, if they have quite a few returning,
Mm.
and
But it's not a final. You know what I mean? Like it's not.
Yeah, I understand. Those people pretty parochial too. Like I know Pioneer, obviously, I think I can't from memory whether they went unbeaten or they were definitely the top team all season that Gerald Dermody and then got knocked over. So there might be a wee chip on the shoulder there. Yeah, could be interesting.
Good point.
I'll take Tokanui unders personally, so I can say that. But yeah, just a question.
Yeah, no, I think I'll go Tokanui unders as well, but I think Pioneer will definitely make it a good game. Out in Gore. Bryce, you done your pick? Yeah,
I went Tokanui, close one.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, right. We'll go to the last game. Edendale taking on Albion at Edendale, so at Magpie Park. Believe this might be the last week without Bram Fodey in the driver's seat.
I ask every week, so thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah, so no, I believe this is his third and last week with his recard offence. So Edendale boys, one more game to go without their general. Probably going to be far too strong for Albion regardless.
Yeah, I think even though Albion performed pretty well last week, I think Edendale will be too strong. They'll probably be getting used to not having Bram at 10. Obviously, Devon's done a really good job there. So, I think they'll be too home at the... What are they? Are they the nest as well? Is it the Magpie nest? The Magpie nest, I guess.
It could be the nest.
It looked like they may have some sort of club day set up as well with, I saw on their Facebook page. So, I think they'll be too strong. And for a good graze after in there too.
Yeah, no, should be a big old go out there. Some good games. Footy, and I know down at Blues, like the women's game being played on Saturday, Maris v Blues, always a tense encounter. There'll be plenty of action, and also I guess the high school pre-season fixtures underway around the province. They kick off on the 22nd of May, so definitely footy fields around Southland with the wee kids as well.
Was that a pre-season game yesterday, Scotty, or was there a competition game that was over?
Competition games. Southland Boys High, went down to John McGlashan. First time they've actually gone down to John McGlashan, and bit of a pretty tough pill to swallow for the Boys High fellas. They obviously had a pretty good pre-season form, but as everyone knows and as everyone says, the pre-season form counts for zero, and that was on show yesterday. Aaron Major got his first win as a first 15 coach, so briefly spoke to him afterwards. He was pretty chuffed about that, as you would be. So John McGlashan, fair play to them, played with a lot of fizz and passion, and rattled the Boys High lads. So plenty to think about from the Royal Blue, who take on Otago Boys High next Wednesday at home. So it'll be a
is it inter-school?
It's another inter-school, yes. So it'll be very interesting clash. See how the Boys High boys respond to a bit of adversity.
I thought it was strange that Sky Sport were televising pre-season games, so I'm glad you cleared that up.
It was just for clarity, that's all.
Clarity's always good. Just quick note, guys, I know the Vernon boys haven't started, but geez, the Vernon boys have off to a hot start pre-season wise themselves. The factories are a real force in the co-ed sector.
Yeah, they actually who'd they knock over?
So they've knocked over Dunstan, St Kevin's, and.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I didn't know that. They trained against us last week or the week before, so I remember it's a bit fake. But no, they look really good. They looked a little bit different to when I was at school. They looked a bit more structured, but they looked handy and good on them.
Is Narp still there?
Narps is playing 10.
Oh, fuck it.
He's in the academy, isn't he?
He hasn't grown since under 12s then.
He's a tall unit. Yeah. Narps looks all right, actually.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Now we look forward to the school boys getting underway. We'll chuck a few reports in as we get going. What's the plan this week, Brycey? Bit of holidaying in London still, or you back?
Yeah, mate.
Still on furlough?
Yeah, boy. I'm still on till the end of June. On full pay. I just want to add to the listeners, just in case you're worried about me. I've actually picked up a wee cash job, so I'm working.
Can you enlighten the listeners?
Okay, so there's another one there. I'm working.
Oh, really? Because
it
does make you talk about cash work. It makes you sound like a drug dealer.
No, because I'm technically employed by my current job. I can't actually go on someone else's payroll.
Oh, yeah, fair shout.
So they have to pay me cash. No, it's for a mate, Paul Wyber. He started his own hard seltzers company over here called Jerry's.
Oh, nice.
Running the cutter, or helping him run the cutter. So
good
stuff, mate. Good stuff.
Check.
Rightio, fellas, that'll do us for this week. Hopefully we get a guest on next week. Bit of a quieter week next week, fingers crossed, so we can organise that and possibly get a Div 1 lad on of some description. Rightio.
Yep.
Good luck to everyone going on Saturday. We'll be back next week.
Do well.